If you go into your Canva account, you'll notice that there is this new-ish icon. I'm going to move you guys over here on my screen. New-ish icon that says Canva AI. And for the longest time, honestly, I wasn't using it because it just wasn't really any good. Like some of the outputs that came out with the images creations, it just was mediocre compared to some of the other tools out there. So I never really used it. And then I came across this Instagram influencer who was showing this code feature. I thought that's weird for Canva as well. Like usually I'll go to ChatGPT or Claude or somewhere else if we're doing coding. So essentially what she was showing me with this, which is incredible, is you choose this code function and it actually gives you a lot of starting points. So you can see here, it shows you like a code to build an interactive calculator, a historical timeline, an interactive restaurant menu, flashcard game, countdown timer, birthday card, sorting class activities, vocab matching, fun memory game, color accessibility simulator, and 3D exploring space. I actually tried all of them. Some of them were a little bit silly, but in our industry, both in the mortgage and real estate industry, there was a couple that was actually really handy. But the one I'll show you specifically that I loved was a guide. So I'll pick on Daniel since he's new today. If you had to build a guide for either your business or for your clients, like the consumer facing one that you wanted to get leads from, and don't say first time home buyers because that's been overdone. Is there a guide that you could picture?
Yeah, I think for me, like it would be, and you might need to add some like copy in from other sources, but it would be like how to buy a piece of land and build a multiplex, right? Like kind of going to the beginning of our so yeah, how to buy a property in Toronto and convert it to a multiplex.
Yeah, so we'd probably, like you said, have to give it a little bit more context. I'll show you guys after some other ones I built that have a longer prompt to it, so you can really get into it with colors. Like I'm pretty picky when it comes to, I want black backgrounds, I like purple call to actions, I like yellow pops of color for words, all that stuff. So I'll show you some that I made for the ChatGPT training. But essentially all you would do is build a guide for potential homeowners or aspiring homeowners in Toronto to learn more about buying a piece of land and building a multi-unit home on it. Anywhere from, I guess you can say 2 units to 6. So then you would just let it think. That's a very, very short prompt, not one that I would encourage you to use typically, but just otherwise we could be playing around with prompts all day, or maybe you should join my ChatGPT training. That's right after this. But usually if you look, like this is the prompt I gave one of them this morning. So you can see it's quite a bit longer. Use my brand guidelines. This is my custom GPT. I gave it links to source out into, and you can see it built exactly what I wanted to. And I literally did this 5 minutes before hopping on the call. So you can see here, I'm going back to the multi-unit one, and it's coding for you. And it's just, you know, it takes, I would say, honestly, it depends what it's building, but anywhere between like 2 and 5 minutes. And once you're done and it gets to the bottom here, you can ask it to redo it. The one thing I do find annoying right now, which I'm sure they'll fix, is when I'm like, okay, change the call to action button to yellow, or to add this link, or do something else once it's been built. For example, once we get to more of an output like this, if I wanted to change it, I have to talk and use this section again, and it completely restarts the coding. So you have to wait again. But I would imagine this is a fairly new feature. And if you guys use other AI tools, you know that they get better pretty quickly with time as it goes on. So you can see here, it's still kind of going through. We're getting closer to the end of the prompt here, or sorry, the code here. You can see I've seen some go up to like 2,000 lines of code. So the longer it is and the more complex it is, that it's adding links, or sometimes it adds, I'll pull up my sheet after, but it makes it more interactive, like a quiz. You can add almost anything. It's pretty incredible. So let it get here. wait this one out. Shouldn't be long. It's talking about self-management. You can kind of read it as it's going. Resource section. So I'm curious because we didn't give it ton to look at. So I'm curious to see what it actually comes up with. But looks like it's going to be sourcing a link. This is the boring part, guys. But then what's really cool, what I envision using this, well, one for my course that's after this, you can see I've got a bunch of links here. So I'll show you guys while we're waiting for some here. I built this model selector one, which is a little bit more interactive, and it has different, you can filter, there's a search bar, and I didn't even ask it to do any of that. Like, it literally came up with most of this idea. All I did was paste ChatGPT's models, like a page on ChatGPT's website, and I asked it to build an interactive guide, and it spit out this. The only thing I don't like is it doesn't match my brand color, so I'd have to like reprompt it and start over, but otherwise it's pretty close, right? And then if we go back, let's see if this one's ready yet. There you go, we're getting close to the footer. But I envision using this more, instead of being like, here's a PDF copy of a guide, you'd be giving them a link in your Instagram or in your emails, using it as lead generation, all sorts of stuff. So if it ever gets, so what are we at? We're almost at 700 lines of code. So she's working really hard. Oh, we're download model. Pretty excessive for such a small prompt, but maybe Daniel will be able to use it right away. Access model. Give it a second. We'll go check out some of this other stuff while we're waiting. The one thing too that I quite liked is we built this like quiz, so you could use it in the real estate world as well, where you're like, are you ready to buy a home? Are you ready to buy an investment property? And it actually went through all of the questions. I selected which ones were correct, and then it gets to the end. And in this case, I was using it, which ChatGPT should you use? And then it would actually spit out the correct plan. And then I added call to actions, retake the quiz. Like I said, this only took like however long, maybe 5 minutes tops. So there you go. Building multi-unit homes in Toronto. Get started, download the guide. So you'll want to test each of these buttons as they come out, because sometimes I find when it says download guide, oh, see, in this case, it worked. So you'd want to see like what actually happens, right? And then if you download the guide and test this out and it doesn't go anywhere, or maybe you want to get the lead, I don't know if it's that advanced, but you just keep playing with this chat section like you're talking to somebody. So be like, hey, I need the download guide to actually go to this, or I want this link to pop up, or whatever. You can see investment, housing solutions, wealth, your roadmap to multi-unit development, research and planning, finding and evaluating land, financing your project, all sorts of stuff. So it's actually pretty good for not giving it that much context. And then a little drop down menu, which I think is great. We didn't even ask it to do that, but it built something that's a little bit more interactive than a PDF. Is kind of what I like about this new solution. And then it looks like it's got these bottom links. So this is great, but they probably don't go anywhere. Oh, this goes to home. So you'd have to play around with like contact. Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere. So if you click on contact, here you can say, if they click on contact, go to my email and provide your email address. So you can continue to massage it till you get to the output that you want, but it shouldn't be that long, honestly. So now once you have this design and you're happy with it, you're done chatting back and forth with Canva, you click on use in design. And I've been using this website mode. So you need to have Canva Pro for this feature. But then you'll change the name of this. So I would change it to, well, to landing multi-units. I keep it nice and short. And then it looks kind of funny here, but then you do publish website. And you can see here I've got some domains I've added to Canva over the time. So I'll use the broker guides is the one I've been using the most now. So we'll just say how to build a multi-unit in Toronto. Then you click done. And then you hit the settings. This is one I always forget. This is your favicon. A favicon's this little thing up here that is the image. So if you don't want it to say Canva, which I would recommend you put your logo. If you use Canva often, you'll find your logo in your brand settings. And if not, you can upload it. Just upload any picture here. So for this purpose, I'll just use this. And you can see it changed here, which will change this little favicon for me so that it doesn't look like Canva built it. Then you'll hit back. The social media preview, before we go too far, doesn't work because it's a code. So it'll just show up as a link. That's one, again, a default right now that I'm sure they'll fix in the future. You can password protect it, search engine if you want. But for now, because I'm just using them as like links to send out to clients or to get leads, I just use the resize on mobile. And then you go back to settings here and you hit publish. Then it prepares the design. And it says, yay, it's ready to go. So then you take your page here and you go visit it. So now you can see that the URL is the one I chose. The favicon is my logo, so it'll look nice and professional when you share it. And then always use like a link here that will help with your SEO as well. So how to build a multi-unit in Toronto. You can add some more to that if you want as well. And then at this point, this isn't ready to share because there was a couple links at the bottom that weren't ready, but you're ready at this point to share it on your social media, use it somewhere on your website as a guide, anything like that, maybe client journey. So with that, I'll stop talking and get some questions. I see more familiar faces. Hi, Colin.
Is there like a way that you can add like your own content to it? Like I know you mentioned that you set up like dummy pages on some of your websites for it to pull like source content from, but for example, like if I'm a realtor and I want to do a listing presentation or maybe reformat like a CMA or something, could I give it data from a different source to have it pop into this?
Yeah, I've been using a lot of my own data to build the Canva stuff. I haven't really tested if you could like put your own brand like photos and stuff yet though. That I'm not sure, but the other features I've noticed, like this was more just to build a guide. So if we went back to Canva and pick another one, if you use the presentation one over the website, you could always publish a presentation after and turn it into a website. So very similar. And what's nice about that is you might be able to edit a little bit more, but with the coding feature, it's not like you can swap out images and change the brand. I don't know if that really answered your question. Definitely play around before you use the code one. If you've got a source, try the other features before, like the design for me and the document won't actually create a website, right? So you can see it actually, it won't come out as pretty, to be honest, and as interactive, but it still does a pretty good job. So I'd encourage you to just go through all of these features and just use the prompt it has, like create a blog about houseplants and then see what it does, right? And then try them all out and you'll be actually pretty surprised. And then it'll probably give you ideas like, oh, I could use it for this or I could use it for that.